All right, everybody, welcome to episode number 29 of the Subscription Podcast. I'm Paul Chambers. I'm here with Louis Marie Pierre Ricard.
That's the full name.
Yes.
Thank
you,
this
is the podcast where we talk about everything subscription membership and recurring revenue in the direct-to-consumer space. And we're so happy you're joining us. If you like and listen to this podcast regularly, the best thing you can do is share it with a friend, because that makes us feel cooler, right?
And that tells you have friends, which is also important.
Two things at once.
Boom.
So let's lead off with some of the news. What's happening out there in the world of subscription?
Yeah,
right now?
big report coming out of one of our SubSummit 2024 sponsors, Recurly, who is saying that failed payments, Paul, could cost companies more than $129 billion.
Not worth looking into. Not a big deal
At all. Involuntary churn is just
$129 billion. It's like a
3 months
right
of
off
rent.
on a rocket for SpaceX.
It's 3 months of rent for me.
So you could buy a rocket to Mars or figure out your recurring billing problems.
Yeah. And I mean, it's something that we've addressed a lot in the past of people just tend to oversee this so much of credit card failure, right? And it's people not being aware of their payments not going through. And it's people not having the right workflows in place to keep their consumers updated of, hey, your next payment is doing this. Make sure you update your credit card. Make sure everything is up to date at all times. So Recurly, who is saying, by the way, that this global subscription industry is going to be worth $1.5 trillion by 2025. We have established that it's already worth, $2 trillion right now. So
the failed payments, so it's interesting because I got wind of this yesterday. I got an email from a brand saying that Apple made a change through their Apple Pay on 12/31 of 23 that had to do with their expiration dates. And previously, Apple was reading and writing expiration dates as month, year.
Yep.
And then they changed it to be month, year. So the 4-digit year. And that is causing problems with a lot of renewals on subscriptions through Apple Pay right now, because it's saying invalid expiration date.
No kidding.
They're seeing a 5% increase in failed payments because of this. And so they're working with Shopify and Recharge. I've checked in with a few other merchants and leaders in the space and getting mixed reviews right now. Some haven't seen this problem, some have. But stuff like that can even go like a long way. And then sometimes it's out of your hands. Like that's a tough thing. What are you're gonna go ask Apple to fix? Apple doesn't listen to you. Apple doesn't listen to anybody.
They might. Let's give them like maybe an ounce of credit.
I'll give them a small bit of credit. They're too big.
They are too big. They did pass the $1 billion in subscription revenue already, so that they might be tricky to get a hold of the right person. Yeah, that's fair. But I think you bring up a good point of people tending to overlook it. People often not understanding that it's out of their control, but they are partnerships that you can make that can make your life so much easier, including, for example, Recurly, right? This is not a promotion, but like there are so many tools and subscription software management where they take care of everything, they automate everything. So that's one less headache. And we're talking about if retention is the new acquisition strategy, you need to have those little things in place to just keep the revenue coming and not lose any customers just because their cards didn't come through. That's a terrible experience of, I want to pay you, but I can't. So I'm just going to go to your competitor because that's going to work better.
Yeah. Well, and like in this case with the Apple issue, what's happening is then people try and go and what I'm told is people then try and go and like fix it online and it's giving some error messages back. Yeah. So you have to, again, like it comes back to what we've been talking about in the past, reducing that friction, making it easier. And there are tools out there that can do this. There's like Butter Payments and ChargeBee and all these different tools that can help fix that and remediate that. But what a big issue.
Yeah, and it's about doing your homework, right? So many startups especially don't even know what churn means for a second, right? And it's about understanding.
Making butter.
There are two types of churn. There's voluntary, when people voluntarily cancel their subscription for reason X or Z, whether they don't like the product or whatever. And then involuntary, which is really primarily where those failed payments come through because they don't want to leave you. There is an extenuating circumstance that is forcing them to leave your brand. So do not lose the customers who do want to stay with you. Focus on them, nurture them, and give them the tools that they need to keep purchasing products that they love from your brand. That's the moral of the story with a bow on top. You know what else has a bow on top?
Yeah. What?
I didn't have a good transition there, but
tell me where you're going and I'll tell you how the transition should go.
You know what else has a bow on top?
No, you have to tell me where you're going. You can't do the transition again. The bad transition.
The NFL playoffs being exclusively streamed on Peacock.
You know what people don't want to miss their subscription on? Is the NFL playoffs.
I feel like you're closer.
They don't want to miss they don't want to have their failed payment happen on their NFL payment. Anyway, I screwed it up too.
Anywho, NFL playoffs.
Listen, I'm the king of transitions. You want to do? You tell me what you want to go from where to where. I will tell you how to transition.
We're going to do this subscription podcast live at SubSummit. We'll do a transition off, you and me. Anyone can say any topic. Our goal, just to transition to it.
Bradley, where's your money going?
Chris
Come
George.
on.
What?
That's just horrible pick. All right,
that's the correct
I know
answer.
why, because Chris George runs payroll.
But you know who's the right pick? The Detroit Lions, who just won
up top, baby.
Big playoff game.
Tampa Bay's going down.
Years. So, anywho, we are Detroit fans, obviously, but this weekend marked a big weekend in streaming and live sport event. The first wildcard playoff game in the NFL was released on Peacock exclusively. People had to be subscribers to be able to watch the Kansas City Chiefs and the Miami Dolphins play in incredibly freezing conditions, by the way.
And people were really whiny about that.
There were a lot. This was a really good meme weekend for me.
What's your thoughts on this? On them streaming it on Peacock?
I think it's
because I have an opinion I'll tell you about in a second.
I think it's great. My opinion is going to be better than yours, but I think it's the next logical step. We've been talking about, you're setting me up. We've been talking about live sport events really starting to come to streaming. We've talked about the Netflix series that are making a big impact, but Netflix can't figure out how to stream live.
Like, do you remember when sports started like airing on ESPN? Mm-hmm. And if you didn't have cable TV, guess what? Oh my gosh, you couldn't watch it.
Yeah.
Heaven forbid you don't get with the times.
So here's where
I get the point. Like, you don't want to have you gotta have a Peacock, and then you have to have Amazon, and then you have to have Netflix and Hulu and all these different things.
And that's where the bundles come through, right? Yeah. So to give our incredible audience some context here, the wildcard games last year averaged 28.4 million viewers. Okay. NBC says that the game on Peacock drew an average of 23 million viewers in total and peaked at more than 24.6 million in the second quarter.
And by the way, when you watch it on Peacock, you're going to get ads that are tailored and delivered to you, just you, instead of having to watch the generic stuff that you see on ESPN. It's just a better experience, you guys.
So I don't know. I think there's a lot of room for growth on Peacock's standpoint because so I did note I was trying to kind of catch their retention strategy because the big assumption here is that everyone subscribed or got a free trial of some kind or paid the $5, and I want to see the numbers that Peacock releases in 4 weeks. After the first month,
when they churn,
how many people will eventually churn? It could be the biggest churn month that Peacock has experienced in recent history, or not. But the point is, you should have had something set up for later. Like they teased a lot of the Olympics. Yeah. They teased a lot of the Olympics being released on Peacock and NBC, which is great. Like that gives you, okay, I like football. I'm probably going to be a fan of the Olympics. Go America.
A new series starting, and that's up to them, right? Like the algorithm needs to new series that starts in 2 weeks.
And they did that too. They said Oppenheimer is coming soon, exclusively on Peacock, right? Which is, those are great things, but you got to take into account who your audience is. So if it were up to me, and I don't know, I'm sure they've thought about this, but the logistical thing would be, we have this great live event. You need to set them up for the next live event that's going to be exclusively on Peacock right around the time that they're supposed to churn. It's obviously incredibly tricky to, make that happen, but it's something that I think you need to consider in your retention strategy because you got a lot of people that just onboarded. It's about keeping them at least past the first month. Then usually after the first month, they're going to keep seeing the value. They're going to see new series, right? That's why they released the TED series on Peacock as well. A lot of little elements that can make the big difference. I should have canceled because I was an active Peacock subscriber. I should have canceled and signed up to see what their email. I should have done that. I regret not doing that. That's a live little thing. So what do you have a lot of opinions outside of the,
that's my story and I'm sticking to it. Is that's fair. The times have changed. And I get, it's frustrating if you have to have all these different streaming providers for all these sports, but it's just the way it is nowadays. And eventually they'll all consolidate. It's just like when cable first came out, like you'd have different packages, and I didn't have the, the premium one that had the extra channel, so you'd upgrade and downgrade. It's just the world we live in now. Yeah. And I think over time, you will see the NBC, the ABC, the CBSs of the world, and the Foxes will eventually, they're there. So,
and I shared this with you, another big tidbit of news this morning, where Amazon is set to acquire a minority stake in Diamond Sports Group, which I believe is the Bally Sports owners.
And so, Bally.
So then,
Bally
you
Sports.
finished this. So the regional sports network filed for bankruptcy last year, apparently. And so now 37 teams across NBA, MLB are just not able to, show their thing, show their sporting events. So Amazon acquiring that, once they give them that extra edge of all those local markets, gain extra data from their consumers, it really just reinforces the need for streaming overall. And I think you and I mentioned this about the Utah Jazz and the Lakers not too long ago, them having their own streaming platform. They're never going to be in this situation, which also is kind of an interesting.
Well, never say never, but it makes it
not from a third party at least.
Right. Yeah, makes it less likely for them, but they might struggle on their own, and maybe they end up in that. But I think that's it's a great opportunity again. So it comes down to now I have to have my Amazon account for streaming there, but eventually they'll all kind of merge up into this one area, and you'll have access all in one spot. But I think that's a wonderful play for them. It gives them a great opportunity to feel even more. It just builds a stronger relationship with their consumers.
The one question,
especially in that local market.
The one question that I have about Peacock, at least, was NFL fans right now. I think the majority of them are fairly. It's not my generation by any means, and I think it's slightly older than your generation as well. So I'm wondering, is this the right time to do this with so many NFL fans being in their 50s or beyond because of their lack of understanding of technology and their lack of potential adaptability?
No, I think you're misinterpreting that. I think they're a highly adaptable audience. I mean, my stepdad watches more. He's 73, 74, somewhere in that range. Well, YouTube is his primary viewing content nowadays. He puts YouTube on the TV and watches it.
That's interesting.
He'll watch the guy that just use heavy machinery on his property to move things around. It's very strange.
So build it, they will come.
Yeah, build it, they will come. And the kids will come in and teach him. And I had to educate my dad on that and show him. And I use their Peacock streaming at my house. The one thing they pay for that I get. Usually they're on my, they're on my Netflix account there. I was I'll just set you guys up with that and make it nice and easy. But they actually got Peacock on their own. I was oh, you have Peacock? What's the login?
That was my favorite. All the memes of the people saying my dad calling me right now because Peacock is, hard to set up.
Hey, do you have that Peacock? You need to get in there.
Wait, so is Peacock the same as NB? I don't understand. Where's the game?
Is that on Amazon?
You have terrible old dad impressions. That's just horrible. So the interesting tidbit though is everything that we said is that the average viewership on Peacock was less than the average wildcard viewership last year. Obviously, there's a year-over-year comparison based on how exciting the season was last year versus how this one is. There could be a lot of factors, but it shows that it's a record-setting event, sure, but it's still not a major record break. I don't see it as a major step yet. Yeah. Had it broken those records for
That's hard,
viewing,
though. It's hard to break those records,
and it's going to take some time. But I still think they're going to make it.
They will get there eventually.
So what's your hot take on all this?
Wait, before we get into hot take, I want to talk to you about another piece of news from this past week. Yeah, a surprise piece of news. I watched Elon and SpaceX talk about their ability to send and receive text messages via satellite.
Oh, okay.
So via the SpaceX satellites, the new generation of SpaceX satellites now have the ability to provide cell connectivity to them. Tell me why you're confused by that.
I'm just picturing the movie The Kingsman, where Sam Jackson is putting a microchip into everyone and just blowing their heads off because he offers free services. Yeah, that
was a heck of a transition.
Yeah, you asked me. I gave you the.
I'm just confused. So what this means is, one of the subscriptions we all have and use is our cell phone subscription. We'll never cancel that, right? Until something better comes along
for free. And
not going to be for free, no. But this will give you global connectivity.
Okay.
With very little friction. very little friction. You know, right now when you go to a foreign country and you travel internationally a lot,
foreign countries,
right? It's sometimes like you land and it's like, oh, am I going to pick up the roaming towers and I got to activate it? I'm paying extra fees every month. You know, the $10 per day in roaming and the internet speed is abysmal. It's terrible. Every time I go to France, sorry about this, it is terrible on Verizon over there. You get like 1 gig.
Have you ever thought that was maybe just Verizon's problem, not really France's connectivity issue?
No. This is the thing.
Don't take it out against my country.
And so now what this changes is just a much more easy, seamless experience. And it opens up competition even more.
I mean, yeah, I do like that aspect.
I still think I'm overpaying for my cell phone. I've got 4 cell phones on there. I pay $243 a month between my wife and 2 daughters. And that's, I don't know, like I get it's a productivity tool. I get it's nice, but like that's a lot of freaking money.
Yeah, my kids will never have
$3,000. Like it's crazy. So, you know, I think what, you know, this is a growing thing. You know, it's the early stages of it. They just sent a simple, like they could send a text message and they could receive a text message via satellite. But this is the start of something. So it's going to be interesting.
Did they make any allusion to like what they were attempting?
Yeah, they're going to build cell connectivity into their SpaceX satellites.
Is their goal to take over fully that
I don't know.
industry, or is it just kind of offering a different option?
The Starlink division of SpaceX is as a future, you know, potential valuation of $100 billion. So give it time. I mean, and they're reducing the latency, the ping times on it. They've got like 3,000 satellites up there right now. The new next gen satellites are the ones that can only do the cell stuff. So everything else up there, let it burn up in the atmosphere, and we'll get those new ones launched, and then it's just kind of world domination from there. You
were a little too nonchalant with that whole sentence. You had world domination burning into atmosphere. You can say those things with a smile on your face.
Yeah, you can though.
You technically can. You're right.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, this is years away, but who knows? It could be faster. They're throwing rockets. They're throwing rockets like every 3 days right now. It's crazy.
I have this mental image of the Earth not even being visible anymore because there are just that many satellites.
You look up and you just see a trail of SpaceX satellites.
You can name your own satellite. It's no longer naming yourself after the stars. It's like, this is my satellite.
A really good satellite. That's not a bad idea.
So we should do a subscription on this.
There's something there. Anyway, you know, the hot take, we kind of dove into a little bit in talking about the streaming that's there.
You teased it.
I did tease it.
Get with the times, folks.
Yeah, but it is fascinating on you know, just how quickly these things evolve. And I think, you know, the one thing that these companies have to continue to keep in mind is, you know, they're pulling the right content in there, but are they continuing to do the right thing for the customer in terms of value? Like, I feel like even the algorithm engines are getting worse over time. Like, it's
interesting.
And maybe because it's confused between my wife and I on there, you know, but like, are these services bringing the right product to the right customer and the right bundle at the right time? I think streaming's behind on that approach.
I think it's kind of weird, right? Like YouTube, I mean, like your step that YouTube is really the only one ahead of its time because there's so much.
Yeah.
You have access to so much, and it's impossible to anticipate people's need and wants for content because social media is really dictating this. Like the show Suits was released so many years ago.
Yeah.
The only reason it boomed is because they started doing like some TikTok clips on this.
Yeah.
And it became a viral sensation. And now they were announcing like winners for the Golden Globes, I think. Like even the actors of that show don't understand what happened. They were like, if only someone just watched the show.
Meghan Markle's like, yes, I needed the money.
Finally. But
Prince Harry and I were going broke.
It's this interesting thing of, yeah, sure, it'd be nice to like know everything about your consumer, which obviously zero-party data helps via subscriptions, but content in itself is such a hard thing to understand, like when the people are going to want to watch something outside of live shows, I would say. Like you can kind of create some press around it and you can kind of make a bigger thing. I think it's about what you said about the putting everything in one place and making it incredibly easy to access it. For example, Peacock. The only reason I subscribe to it because I love the Premier League, the soccer league in England. Greatest competition to me in the world in that league. But the problem is I only get access to certain games. If I wanted to watch other ones, I have to go on USA because the NBC and USA are competing for streaming rights. Peacock only shows me half of the games, and some of the great games are on USA. So now I have to go on YouTube TV to access those, right? And so if you're going to give me a league, give me the whole league. Don't give me just like 3 games that I might not even be interested in.
It feels like for a lot of people that this is inconvenient as of right now, because it's that beginning process of learning, because this is new, right? Having sports on streaming service is new. So that's whole like, oh God, now I got to sign up for another subscription. Now I got to sign up for another subscription. The problem that we're having now is the perception being that I have to do this because there's no other option. I'm signing up for something not because I don't want Peacock.
I see. So you don't come.
I'm signing up for something that I don't want, and I'm being held hostage, and there's nothing I can do about it. So if I'm thinking about a business like that and I'm going into it, I'm still going to do it because I have to. I'm not doing it because I want to. Do you really want that perception on your business? Maybe, because it's probably going to turn off anyway, and you're going to get the money anyway.
What if you could watch it without having to pay for it? Would that number have been well beyond 28 million if people didn't have to pay for that one?
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
For any of the wildcard games.
100%.
Yeah, but
and if they provided an experience during that free one that was a better experience than I would get on YouTube TV, then that's something that would be great. Like you said, customized ads. I don't have to get that same State Farm ad with Pat Mahomes every single time. Or some sort of insights. I can click on something that pops up on the middle of it. There's just cooler things. I could switch the camera angle myself. You know what I mean? Like, so if there was an experience that they gave me, then I'd be inclined. I want to stream on Netflix. I want to watch it on this. You know what I mean?
Sign in with your NBC One account. And you're collecting, because what's more valuable than your dollars is the data that lives behind.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Way more valuable than that $5 is.
And you give them a look into the service, and maybe they'll want to stick around because they want to.
Correct.
Yeah, so I disagree. I disagree with the premise, because Amazon Prime was the only one streaming Thursday Night Football game, and no one batted an eye.
No one batted an eye because you get so much more value out of Amazon and you're paying for it.
But everyone already has it too.
But there wasn't.
That's my point.
There wasn't this much contention on this, right? And like there's still some people who paid for it, and I guess I'm sure they saw the value of it.
Because everyone's like, oh well, I guess I need an Amazon account anyway. I've been meaning to do Prime for a while.
Peacock didn't come out of thin air and say like we're gonna like. You know, like they followed.
They should have given it for free. They missed an opportunity.
I disagree.
At getting a whole bunch of.
They still got the data and they got money. I disagree. And then you were the first one who says, "Who cares?"
Yeah, but here's the thing.
No, I changed my opinion now. I was listening to Disgruntled Bradley.
Disgruntled Bradley. It's the perception. That's what I was saying. So
the
we don't know how that's going to happen. We don't know what that looks like for long term yet. Like we said, we don't know about the churn. We don't know about how much if people hate Peacock. We don't know about any of that because they had to turn in because they had a gun to their head and they had to watch the game somehow or another.
I do understand the feeling of it. I do get that feeling. I was already an active subscriber. I was like, oh, sweet. Like, I don't have to do anything.
Because before, you used to be able to watch it on NBC for free. And you know what? You had to watch commercials to get it for free.
Yeah.
And now you have to watch it you get to watch it on Peacock, and you have to watch commercials.
Dude, if you didn't have to watch commercials, that is a different experience. Because that's a direct payment to them.
Upgrade now to not have to watch these commercials and get live interactive.
Oh, you could have continuation of the sport if you wanted to.
You could
so
watch,
then you play so people who watch
them do the Lion King thing where everybody holds up their babies in between.
Yeah. No, this could be a very interesting. You could play like the you could actually play the fast-paced game on Peacock, and people who watch on regular cable like are going through the commercial and they're just watching it taped to live.
Yeah, look,
I would pay a premium on.
I think
football games taking 15 minutes of my day.
There might be and you know, these companies, maybe Amazon is the only one that has a right approach with this and Walmart does too. Walmart did a little bit with you know, you sign up for Walmart Plus, you get Paramount Plus as part of that. You know, I think, who knows, but I think that's an interesting take.
It's not that I'm saying streaming on sports is bad at all. It's right now they're not leveraging everything that they can do with streaming, that direct income to their company and providing a different, better experience that they could provide that isn't being provided on other places right now.
So it's interesting. So it's about convenience in life, and it's about meeting the consumer where they're at.
Yes.
In a lot of ways. And I think I stumbled across an interesting service the other day. Who was it? Chris George was telling me he got hooked up with he got an email intro to somebody who's heading up the innovation center over at Panasonic. And she is currently heading up an app and subscription service called Yohana. It's Yohana. Yeah, Yohana.
It's technically your family if you translate Ohana in Hawaiian, which means family.
Yes.
And they just added I think Bradley made that translation for us earlier.
Yeah, it's your family.
Your family. Yo family.
It's actually a cool name.
So Yohana's cool, and the whole idea behind it is like it's your home virtual assistant. So, you need something ordered, you need to schedule your kids' haircuts, you need to meal plan for the week, maintenance around your house. So I sent this to my wife. I was like, this is it. This is our solution for life. Because
what a pitch. This is our solution for
I was
life.
like, look at all these things that Yohana can help you with and all these things. And then she's like, yeah, I don't know when I'm going to use that or have time for that. But I like this idea. And then the next day, one of the female colleagues here in the office, she's like, just to give you a little bit of feedback, a better approach might have been for you saying hey, I'm going to work on this for our family versus you trying to give your wife another thing to do that's going to supposedly help her when you really should be the one stepping in. I was like, oh.
You delegated too fast.
I got excited about hope for her.
You know what's funny though? You became a brand ambassador reading 4 lines of that company, which I love. That just shows how great how important web design and understanding how to highlight the value is. Because you became a brand ambassador without ever trying the product.
I became a brand ambassador because I felt the pain in all the things that it's talking about. Right. Those are pain in our lives. Is give an example, we have 4 kids. And so every night, my wife does a great job preparing dinner. My wife, who has a full-time job, takes on all the house responsibilities. I just sit here and do this, we won't show her this. She's a saint. And, and so every night, every meal, there's a child who's I don't like eating this. And so then we make this mental mark, okay, this one will roll with these 3 kids. Anyway, so the pitch to my wife was okay, this is cool. After every meal, we go to our Yohana assistant. We say, hey, Allie Morgan Parker, this Logan didn't. Can you just note that and help us with the meal planning going into the future? Because with any admin, any virtual admin, it's garbage in, garbage out. Unless you give them really good information and have an active conversation, it's not going to be valuable. And so you have to do that. I've worked with virtual assistants before, so I understand this concept. It's not in my wife's purview. It's not her area of expertise. To her, it's more overwhelming.
Yeah, because you have to download your brain.
Yes. But the pitch long term for Yohana, and so we talked with at least Neil, who's helping lead this at the Panasonic Innovation Center, is it becomes connected and part of your lives in a lot of ways, where it becomes connected to your appliances in your home, your Panasonic appliances in your home. They're going to know what's in your refrigerator, how long did you cook that meal for? When are you going to be? What are the kids' activities tonight? And when should we preheat your oven for you? And you're going to have access to that because your oven is connected to your Yohana account as well, and all these different things. And so it's about meeting the consumers where they are in their lives via all these connected services and this subscription that exists there. But it's a lot of work sometimes to get those things set up.
So I was going to say, I think the concept is brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
I think the interesting thing is how many people will actually understand how much work it takes at the beginning to really make sure that this is a beneficial thing for you, right? Because it's so easy to say I need this done, but I like it done a certain way.
Yeah.
And I need this on a certain time. And if you don't understand how to relay that message, if you're not a business owner, for example, it's going to be much harder for you to really relay the message. The second thing is playing devil's advocate, because I love the convenience of it all, but data privacy. How many people are going to get freaked out of all sharing so much about their life to someone they've never met that's just on a virtual reality situation?
Listen, I don't know why I would have brought it in here. It's not relevant. Louis, I have a stack this thick of data breach notifications that I've gotten since the first of the year from various companies.
Wow.
It's over. It's done. All of my data is gone.
You've just accepted it.
Yeah. they're like, oh, we'll sign you up for a credit monitoring service. F you. Like, just, you shouldn't have lost it in the first place. You know, like I have zero trust that anybody's storing my data securely.
Oh, no.
So fine. Like, I'll just hire a bunch of private security apparently for the rest of my life. But I'm not saying Yohana's. I'm super bitter about this right now just because of the number of notices I've gotten about data breaches recently. I don't, I have to hope and trust that they're going to keep my data safe. And if somebody finds out the food my kids like or the food that they don't like, whatever, if they want to start my oven remotely, fine. Like, I'll figure it out.
House explodes.
It is a valid point though, and it is like the more people know about you, the more likely they are to be able to steal other data from you, and then you have other problems. I think I laugh because one of the things you said about like getting a set up, like that in itself became a hurdle in our family. Yeah. So like the first thing when I signed up, it's like, hey, welcome. The first thing you should do is set up a time to talk to your virtual assistant.
Where do you find the time?
Together.
When do you?
And so I sent the times. Like I said to my wife, I was like, hey, how about like 5:30 or 6 tonight? We can talk to this Yohana person. She's like, and she sent back, ha ha. And I was like, stupid old me. I was like, is that those times that work for you? Yes? She's like, so you mean in between trying to get the dinners ready, get the kids ready to go to swimming, get Allie out for dance, and get Morgan off to soccer, you want me to find time for this conversation? So then I sent a screenshot of all the times of the rest of the week. And she's like, I don't know when you think I'm going to do this. And I'm like, okay, this is a failed experiment so far. And really the failure is in me, like, again, being an a-hole and not taking the responsibility in my family when I could and should be in some ways.
So this would be an interesting thing. For example, if you have a shared calendar, the first step should be upload your shared calendar on this link. Yeah. Our virtual assistant would determine the best time. We'll offer you 3 best day and time for the 3 of you, however many is this to connect. You don't have to do that at that point. Yeah. There's no more asking anyone. It's about they're doing the work at finding the best time. They show you immediately the value of that.
I think we just need a robot.
You've said that multiple times.
Like, just something that will be there. But I think like, so, maybe something like this is like the start of that. I actually met a company I was at NRF on Monday. And yesterday was Tuesday. Yeah. So this week I was at NRF. Gosh, I'm losing track of days.
You've been flying a lot.
And so NRF had a cool like robotics company similar to the Tesla's Optimus. They're building a robot that is going to be first used in the B2B space in work environments, but like the long-term pitch, like, and they're saying like businesses will be able to subscribe to the robot. I asked them, I go, do you have a plan for consumers to be able to subscribe to the robot? And they go, absolutely. B2B is a bigger opportunity right now. We'll eventually, because it's just like lower friction, there's not like as much worry about it. But eventually they do see a consumer subscription robot where, again, it'll be, I watched a video the other day of Optimus folding clothes. I was like, yes.
Does that freak you out, Bradley? Because I'm freaked out.
Yes, it does freak me out.
Thank you.
You're freaked out?
It does freak me out.
How many movies do we need? How many movies do we need to put out?
Once it gets to the home, it starts to scare me a little bit. Right? I could have 100 things making cars on a line, but once something is in my house, just manual labor, I don't know, man.
Never sleeping.
I don't know about it.
Does the oven freak you out?
We've watched iRobot before, dude, or whatever it is called. Yeah.
So you wouldn't subscribe to a robot that would make your life easier.
It's the same thing as like there's a new article recently about like scientists have found a new way to reanimate dinosaurs, and people were like, how many movies do we need to put out so that you guys understand that we shouldn't do these things?
It's coming, man. Listen.
That's my initial instinct. My slightly more intelligent side of the brain says it makes really a lot of sense. And we were just talking off air about this. Yohana and those kind of brands are amazing for people like you. I have no use for it now because I don't have kids yet.
I guess like right now, like, the lowest friction robot in your house is going to be like the Roomba. Yes. And like, oh my God, it sucked up my shoelaces. That's it. Like that's the biggest worry you have.
So, but now with artificial intelligence, things are getting much smarter and they're going to be stronger.
Bradley's done his research.
Yeah.
Stronger.
We're gonna have this buff machine walking through my house thinking for itself, man. That thing's gonna kill me.
Yeah, I mean, there's a good chance.
Not the best
you're
pitch.
Still excited for it?
Not your best pitch.
I mean, it's possible. Anything's possible. Look at the Roombas. You guys watch Black Mirror, right? There's a whole episode on robots.
Oh, sure. That's exactly why we're bringing this up.
Yeah.
There's no way. I mean, there is definitely a way that this goes south.
You're gonna have a robot
very poorly. I'm not gonna have.
Yes,
if you
will.
think I don't even want to subscribe to that Apple Cloud thing for $12 a year. If you think I'm going to subscribe to a robot for $349 a week, you're out of your mind. I will do more tasks if I have
What's
to.
the most valuable thing in your life?
Don't say time. Don't be that
Exactly.
one like bro-entrepreneur. If I wake up at 2 a.m., I've manipulated time and I can do this 7 days a week.
This is not a bropreneur thing. This is like, you shouldn't, like, if you could do something else than sit there and spend your entire Saturday folding laundry and doing laundry around your house or cleaning your house or paying somebody else to clean your house.
So let me ask you this.
Do the dishes. I hate unloading the dishwasher. I love loading the dishwasher. It's like the way my brain works. I can't stand. I also like, I got to take my dog out every night to go take a poop.
Okay, I get an easy answer. Just don't get a dog. That's just easy.
Yeah, well,
that's your problem.
All these things.
So let me ask you this. So there's two school of thoughts here, because people, like some people, their acts of love is showing, like doing tasks for their significant others, right? Mm-hmm. Like I enjoy doing laundry for my wife. Mm-hmm. Like that's something like she does a lot around the house.
Nice
and I'm
guy.
like, I know, I do. And I'm like, hey, like I'll do laundry for us. Like that's no problem. And so when I'm folding, I'm like, this kind of sucks, but like this is my way of showing her that I love her and that I'm here for her family. But it kind of sucks. With a robot.
But you could pay for that robot. That's how you can show your love instead.
With what money? Two, like, what about those little tiny acts of things that makes you think the other person is paying attention to your needs?
It's like getting like a gift card instead of like a Etsy gift.
I think there's other ways. I think you're thinking about that all wrong.
It's like, here's some money. It's like way less personal.
You threw money at the problem. Yeah. Is that what you want to do, Paul? I feel like that's kind of
I don't want to throw money at the problem. I want to throw a solution at the problem. And the problem is,
and it
like
costs
all
money.
these like little things that you've got to do in life, they just add up and take away time. And for me, it's different. Like I'm watching my kids grow up, and I look at my daughters, and I have 6 years left with them. 6 years. We've all seen the charts.
They're just going to
recently.
graduate, guys. They're just going to.
Yeah, they're going to graduate high school. They're not dying. I have 6 years left, and you look at the chart of like time spent with your parents, right? And it does like this, like, and then little bumps, as they're getting older. And I know that time is fleeting with them, and so I want as much of it as possible to spend with them.
Yeah, that's very true.
Now, okay, so you can push back and say like, Paul, so make a fun game, do like laundry folding with your kids and do all this stuff.
I would never say that, but I'm really glad you brought this
right. So,
I think that's where you have a good point of, it really depends on, like, when I have kids, the first thing I might say is like, we need a robot. Who knows? And I'll kind of chuckle.
And then you'll call me.
I'll click like
and be like, you were right.
And you were like, who is this again?
But then
Louis?
the robot tried to kill me. I was like, oh yeah, I was. You were right. Sorry about that.
We were
Turns
both
out
right.
These were bad.
These were terrible.
Milk was a bad choice.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I do think there is definitely great potential of this in the future. I do think we're gonna have to see. I think the Yohana thing is very close to getting things right. I do believe there is an element of, how do you make people understand that when purchasing, there's going to be some work on their end involved already? Because I think that's the biggest barrier of, when I purchase something, I expect immediate benefits from it.
I think they need a lower friction start point.
Like, toss an idea.
They should partner up with HelloFresh, and when your meal kit arrives, they say,
"Oh my gosh,
download the Yohana apps. Tell Yohana what you thought of every single one, and let us help you pick your picks for next week." Give me small little low friction points and build into it. I'm overwhelmed by the app right now. I'm overwhelmed by the user interface and like thinking like these tasks. I'm overwhelmed with the idea of like, you have to take the time to do this. So it's like, but and it takes you to realize, like, with any virtual assistant, it just takes time.
Yeah. Did they have a quiz when you?
Yeah, they had some questions.
Got it.
You onboarded, and it was good. It's a nice user interface. The app is nice. The website is nice. It's just tough.
The partnership is huge, though. Because like you're paying for someone to do the task, but you still have to pay for those things, right? Like if you have them call maintenance for your roof, you still have to pay for the roof. So if they could find partnerships that get you discounts,
and you have to keep in mind, like, I'm different than other people where I've got a guy, person for everything. So like, I don't want you to call like Mr. Roofer because I don't trust them. I don't think they're going to be good. I'm going to ask my local network. I'm going to find like a trusted resource, or I already have somebody. I'm like, oh, I got to get Dennis out there because I know Dennis will do this. But somebody has to call Dennis every day to get him out there, like check on terriers, So anyway,
I'll do a humble brag, but Paul and I have the same car guy.
We do have the same car
it's
guy.
my dad, but
yes.
it's still a humble brag.
But again, like that's like a coordination thing, and it'll be like, oh, Troy Auto Care is a little busy right now. Should I talk to Steve? And like, Steve will get it done. So anyway,
can I throw a random idea that back to the Netflix thing? Because I toss it to you guys, and I don't know if you guys answered, but if Netflix allowed you to, like, after you're done watching a show, if you had an option of recommend to your friend, and you have this network of Netflix friends, and so then like when you say hit recommend, it pops up on their feed like recommended by Louis, and then there's like whole sections.
Oh,
I was wondering that if there was any
sharing
value to
TikToks with people.
Yes,
100%. There needs to be some sort of
you like that?
social networking, sort of thing in there, like.
And
look at what Spotify's doing, and I think it's more cultural to share music directly instead of, I don't know, maybe it's because it's a short form factor, but
the playlist thing is big on Spotify.
A lot of things that Spotify has done over the years, like there's that playlist thing where you just like hit a button and like it gives you a mix of both your type of taste with one person. So it's just it's the social thing that, this conversational thing. And so if they incorporate some of that social networking aspect into streaming platforms like that, I think they're going to get a lot out of it.
Yeah.
It'd be cool. Like I was just like, you could do, I love Spotify because some people are going viral on social media, like showing their playlists, they're showing off their taste. But on Netflix, like me and Bradley, if we recommend the same thing, we could do a watch party of it. Right. And it's like, and you can, maybe there's an app for it where you just like, you have an option to like text each other about like.
That's an interesting idea.
Right? And there needs to be mass watch parties too. There needs to be.
That's
what we did that during COVID, but it didn't really continue, did it?
But like,
no,
like we're talking like with like chat and all that stuff like that. People like will watch with streamers. They'll watch at the same time as like their favorite streamer, and like everyone hits, and then your community, they all talk together in the chat room and stuff like that. Why that doesn't happen like directly in Netflix is kind of beyond me. It feels like kind of a no-brainer. Like watch and tune in live and get like the live reactions and stuff like that. Like
It'd be cool
with the community.
There's some good stuff there. We learned that there's great opportunity in streaming, continuous opportunity in streaming, and we're going to watch that space continue to unfold. That Yohana is a better thing for me to use than try and push on my wife.
This was a marital.
Yep, this was. Thank you for the therapy session today.
I love that she replied to you with haha though. That to me is the best part.
Anyway, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next episode.